Have you ever listened to something once and then months or years later you listen to it again and it takes on a whole other meaning because you're almost like feel like a whole other person. You've had all these other experiences, other awarenesses over that time period, and what you listen to now has a different meaning. This has happened to me recently with a program that I have had for many years. I originally had it on a CD and it was called Attracting Genuine Love. I will find the original maker of it or the author of it. It's an amazing program because what it dives into is how to attract the genuine love that we want in our lives. The interesting part of it is that it helps you uncover what is blocking you from attracting that genuine love. And this author, what he divides this into is partly our conscious commitments to having genuine love in our lives, but also our unconscious commitments that may be going against that we don't even realize that we are committing to. So what I mean by this is that we can have conscious commitments in our lives to have a loving partner, to have someone that respects us, to have someone that listens, to have someone that spends time with us, to have someone that helps us get the 5 love languages, to get the love language that we crave. So whether that's physical touch or acts of service or words of affirmation, whatever it is, we can consciously commit to having that in our lives. We can say to ourselves, okay, I am no longer going to put up with people that are not clear. I've been saying this in my videos, right? That I commit to making sure that I only allow people in my life as a partner who want similar things as I do in relationship, who reach out to me consistently, who are loyal, who are caring, who show compassion, who listen. I can say those conscious commitments. And just even saying any of those can be like just an affirmation to remind me of what I want. But what this author was saying is that our body can tell us a lot about whether our thoughts and what we desire actually are in line with each other. So he gets people to listen to affirmations or to say them to ourselves and see how our body reacts. So if I say that I am committed to having genuine love in my life all the time, that was the first example he gave. If I say it, it sounds wonderful. And it might be what I think that I want. But your body can also tell you whether you agree with that, or whether you believe that it can happen, or whether it scares the hell out of you. Because he says when you say it, now listen to how your body reacts. Does your body tense up when you say it? When you say, I am only committing to people who are wanting the same things that I want in relationship, or I am only going to allow people in who are consistent in their behavior. Or that general statement of, I commit to having genuine love in my life all the time. My body might be really excited about that, which is a good sign. But my body might get really fearful, and I might think, why? Why is my body tensing up? Why am I getting scared of this? Isn't this what I want? But that's really good information. If your body tenses up, or your mind starts saying, oh, that's ridiculous, that's impossible, nobody can have that, or you don't deserve that. I mean, think of all the times that you've said that and you didn't actually commit to it. You didn't stick with it. It gives you really good information that what you want is being held back by your beliefs, your thoughts, your experiences from prior that have shown you that maybe that's not possible. So that is the first part of the program. But it's the second part of the program that just blew me away. I know I've heard it before years ago, but it wasn't until now that I listened to it that I really listened, that it just hit me in a really powerful way, because the purpose of the second part is really to empower us to see that we have control over who we choose in partnership. And the second part is getting to know our unconscious commitments. Our unconscious commitments are commitments that we don't even realize we are making because they're unconscious. We aren't aware that they're happening in the background. And what he says to finding out your unconscious commitments that might be holding you back from what you want to commit to is to look at what it is that you complain about a lot in partnership. So, for example, I could complain that I'm not meeting guys that are consistent enough, or the guys that I meet are flaky. They don't make plans in a way that is clear and committed. Or the guys that I meet aren't looking for anything serious. They're looking for casual relationships. I could say that the guys that I meet are often don't even live in the city. Like, I meet them and then it turns out that they live somewhere else. So this author says, look at what it is that you complain about in partnerships. Even maybe when I think about the relationships that I was in the past, I could say things like, I didn't feel fully chosen in those relationships, or the guy that I was with was giving a lot of attention to other women. If those are my complaints, this author is saying, instead of looking at the men as the problem, turn this around to see that maybe without realizing it, we are making an unconscious, or I am making an unconscious commitment to these patterns that have been showing up for me a lot. They're not just showing up for me because I am unlucky. They're showing up for me because I don't realize that I might have been making an unconscious commitment towards some of these things. So, for example, I could say, oh, it seems like from the results that I'm getting in dating and relating to guys, I have been making an unconscious commitment to not being chosen. Or it seems that through the results that I'm getting through dating, I have been making an unconscious commitment to being left behind. Or it seems like through the results that I'm getting, I'm making an unconscious commitment to not being, to being with someone that's not consistent. Or I'm making an unconscious commitment to having someone flake out on me or not be reliable, not being with someone who's reliable. I'm making an unconscious commitment to be with someone that can't actually stay with me, can't actually stick around. So all of these unconscious commitments, at first they feel really bad because it feels like, wait a second, I'm not making the decision to be flaked out on. I'm not making the decision to be betrayed. I'm not making the decision to be left behind or not chosen. But the thing is, my results are saying something completely different because they are unconscious commitments that I didn't even realize I was making. And instead of feeling bad about this, instead of feeling like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? How did I end up making these horrible unconscious commitments that are so not in line with what I really want? This speaker, this author, and this program teaches you that you can take your power back by becoming aware of your unconscious commitments. And when you say them out loud, that, oh, it seems like I'm unconsciously committed to being ridiculed or to being left behind or to being not having commitment. Like, I'm saying that I am committing to having genuine love in my life, but then my results are showing that I'm actually unconsciously committed to having something that's not genuinely loving. And becoming aware of that actually makes me look at my behavior and my choices more. In my last video, I was talking about where my motivations for the choices in partnership came from. And I was not always getting the result that I wanted, but I didn't realize that there were unconscious commitments that I was making to myself. Being with someone that was not going to actually be right there with me. Maybe they lived somewhere else, and so I was unconsciously committing to being left alone or being neglected or being left. And once I come to realize this, I can take control and not see it as a negative thing, but see it as, wow, so if that's my unconscious commitment, how am I going to make sure that I stop attracting that? How do I make sure that I stop making that commitment? I go back to the original conscious commitment that I want to make, which is that maybe I want to have genuine love in my life all the time, or I want a partner that shows up for me and chooses me all the time. I want a partner that lives in the city so that I can get my needs of being with someone, my love language of physical touch and just getting to know someone on a more intimate level on a regular basis rather than sporadically is really important to me. Once I see the unconscious commitments, I can say no to everything that is lined up with that. Because I don't want to have those unconscious commitments anymore. I want to choose who lines up with my conscious commitments. I hope this makes sense, but it's really interesting. I highly recommend that if you are not getting what you want, especially in your love life, but in any aspect of your life, I think this can work for other areas of your life as well. Ask yourself, what is it that you're complaining about the most in that area of your life? And then reword that to say, maybe I'm making an unconscious commitment to not being appreciated, to not being heard, to being left out, whatever the area of your life is. And if you can open up that possibility, I almost promise you, I don't like to make promises that I can't keep, but I really believe that you can empower yourself to really let in what it is that you really want, because your awareness will make it so that you only choose what is now aligned with your conscious commitments. Let me know what you think of this. I will talk to you soon.